Do you think the book of Revelation is all about destruction, fire, judgment, and the end of the world? Then this video is going to flip your perspective completely. Because the truth is, Revelation isn't about the end, it's about a powerful new beginning. Everything you thought you knew about the beast, the number 666, the Four Horsemen, and Babylon might be totally wrong. And once you see what's really behind those symbols, your view of the Bible and the future will never be the same. For centuries, people have treated Revelation like a horror story. But John, the author, had a different mission. He didn't want to scare you. He wanted to reveal something hidden, something only the spiritually awake could understand. This book isn't just prophecy. It's a divine message of resistance, faith, and ultimate hope. And the only way to understand it is to break the code. And we're going to do that together, step by step, right here. So if you're ready to finally understand the book of Revelation, clearly, simply, and in a way that makes sense, stay with me until the very end. Because every number, every image, every scene has meaning. And once you see it, everything changes. Let's begin. The meaning of the word apocalypse. And the purpose of the book. When most people hear the word apocalypse, they instantly think of the end of the world. Fire, chaos, destruction everywhere. But the original meaning of the word is something entirely different. Apocalypse comes from the Greek word apokalypsis, which means revelation. That's right. The apocalypse isn't about hiding things, it's about revealing them. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see what was there all along. The author, John, wasn't trying to scare people. He was revealing something powerful that was coming. The purpose of the book runs deeper than many realize. It was written during a time of brutal persecution against Christians. Imagine living under a regime where believing in Jesus could cost you your life. John writes to strengthen the faith of those believers, to say, I know things look dark now, but the end of the story has already been written, and good wins. Revelation is a roadmap for hard times, packed with symbols only those truly connected to God could understand. It's a reminder that chaos isn't the end, it's the beginning of something greater. For readers today, understanding Revelation is like finding hidden treasure in a cave full of riddles. But once you grasp the heart of it, you'll realize it's not about fear, but about hope. It's a call to stand firm, to trust, to keep going, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. And honestly, isn't that exactly what the world needs right now? A divine reminder that there's a bigger plan behind it all. Who was John, and in what context was Revelation written? John, the author of Revelation, wasn't just anyone. He was one of Jesus' 12 apostles, the same John who wrote the Gospel and the 3 letters of John. When he wrote Revelation, he was exiled on the island of Patmos, basically a rocky prison in the middle of the sea. Isolated and alone, that's where he had the most intense and vivid visions of his life. It's as if God removed all distractions to speak to him directly, with clarity and power. The historical context was tense. The Roman Empire was violently persecuting Christians. Declaring faith in Jesus could mean torture or death. John writes to encourage the believers, reminding them that no matter how powerful Rome looked, God's kingdom was the one that would last forever. Revelation becomes a form of spiritual resistance, coded hope delivered through visions and symbols. A way to strengthen the hearts of those living on the edge. That's also why the book is full of mysterious images. John couldn't speak openly against the empire, so he used symbolism, language only the spiritually alert could decode. Dragons, beasts, lampstands, trumpets. They all carry deeper meaning. Understanding this changes how you read the book. It's not just prophecy. It's strategy. And once you start seeing the patterns, what comes next begins to make a lot more sense. The symbolic style of the book and why it's full of metaphors. Revelation is hands down the most symbolic book in the Bible. Nothing in it is random. Every image, every number, every creature has a deeper meaning. John writes in a poetic, visionary style that feels like a vivid dream. But what seems confusing at first is actually genius. He wasn't just trying to tell a story. He wanted to stir reflection, to ignite imagination, to wake people up spiritually. The symbolic language was also a protective shield. Remember, John was writing during a time of censorship and danger. So he used metaphors that believers would understand, but enemies of the faith wouldn't. That's why we see dragons, beasts, lampstands, scrolls, and stars. Spiritual codes that speak volumes to those tuned into God. To the casual reader, it may sound like madness, but to the faithful, it's divine truth hidden in plain sight. Take the lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes, for example. Sounds strange, right? But it represents Jesus, the sacrificial lamb with full authority, horns, and full vision, eyes. Revelation isn't meant to be read like a newspaper, but more like a rich tapestry. And every time you return to it, new meaning emerges. And maybe that's why the next theme, numbers, plays such a huge role. The number 7 in Revelation, what it really represents. If there's one number that keeps showing up in Revelation, it's 7. 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls. You get the picture. But there's a reason behind it. In Jewish tradition, the number 7 symbolizes completeness, wholeness, and divine perfection. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. The cycle was complete. In Revelation, the use of 7 is like a stamp that says, "This is total, this is divine." John uses the number 7 to show that nothing in the book is accidental. It all fits into God's full plan. The 7 churches, for instance, don't just represent specific places in Asia Minor. They symbolize the universal church, across time and space. The 7 seals, trumpets, and bowls aren't just events. They're expressions of God's full judgment and purpose. It's not chaos, it's coordinated. Here's a practical tip. Every time you see the number 7 in Revelation, pause and ask, what is being shown here as complete? It'll shift your whole understanding. You'll stop seeing random events and start seeing divine structure. And this pattern continues all the way through the book, preparing us for the next powerful set of messages, the letters to the 7 churches, the 7 churches of Asia, timeless spiritual messages. The 7 churches mentioned at the beginning of Revelation, Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea, were real Christian communities in ancient Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. But John wasn't just sending updates. He was delivering spiritual messages with eternal value. Each church represents a kind of spiritual condition still found today, from passionate faith to complete spiritual apathy. It's like 7 mirrors, and each reader can find their reflection in one of them. Take Ephesus, for example. They were strong in doctrine, but had lost their first love. Laodicea was lukewarm, not cold, not hot, and got the harshest rebuke. Philadelphia, though small, was faithful and received a promise of protection. Each letter acts like a spiritual diagnosis, an X-ray of the soul. And the most powerful thing? These messages are just as relevant now as they were back then. Who hasn't gone through seasons of spiritual numbness, like Laodicea? The smartest thing you can do is read these letters as if they were written directly to you. Ask yourself, have I been like Sardis, looking alive on the outside, but dead on the inside? Or am I staying faithful like Smyrna, even when it's tough? Reading Revelation this way turns it into a mirror, one that doesn't lie. And once you've faced those reflections, you're ready for what's coming next. Something sealed and mysterious. The Lamb and the scroll, sealed with 7 seals. One of the most powerful scenes in Revelation is when a mysterious scroll appears, sealed with 7 seals. No one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth is worthy to open it. No one, until the Lamb appears. But this Lamb isn't ordinary. He looks like he was slain, but is still standing. A clear symbol of Jesus Christ, the only one worthy to open the scroll and reveal God's ultimate plan. The Lamb has 7 horns and 7 eyes. Again, the number 7 represents fullness. The horns symbolize complete power, and the eyes, total vision, omniscience. In other words, Jesus has all authority and sees everything. As he opens each seal, a series of divine events begins to unfold. This is the turning point. The plan of God begins to move visibly, and the power to execute it rests solely in the hands of Christ. This part reminds us that no matter how chaotic life feels, there is a plan, a divine plan. And it's already in motion. Nothing escapes the Lamb's sight. And what's coming next, starting with the first 4 seals, are some of the most iconic and mysterious figures in all of Revelation. The Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse and what they represent. When the first 4 seals are opened, 4 horsemen ride out, each on a different colored horse. These aren't fantasy characters. They are powerful symbols. The white horse represents conquest. The red one brings war. The black horse symbolizes economic injustice and scarcity. And the pale horse, sometimes described as greenish, brings death. They're not evil beings themselves, but they represent forces unleashed under divine judgment. These horsemen show what happens when humanity walks away from God. The first rider, on the white horse, has a crown and a bow, conquest and deception, possibly symbolizing false messiahs or oppressive ideologies. The red horse removes peace from the earth, a sign of war and division. The black horse holds scales, representing economic imbalance and hunger. The pale horse brings death, followed closely by the grave. Harsh? Yes. Real? Absolutely. Just look at human history. But here's the key. These riders don't operate on their own. They only ride when the Lamb opens the seals. That means even in judgment, God is in control. These events aren't random. They're purposeful. And as the seals continue to open, we step into even deeper spiritual territory, with beasts, dragons, and numbers that have puzzled people for generations. The beast, the dragon, and the number 666. What it all means. This part of Revelation is one of the most misunderstood and controversial. A dragon, 2 beasts, and the mysterious number 666. Let's break it down. The dragon represents Satan, the ancient serpent, the ultimate deceiver. The first beast rises from the sea, a symbol of oppressive political power. The second beast comes from the earth, a false prophet representing corrupt spiritual influence. Together, they form an unholy alliance. And 666? It's not random. John says, "Let the one who has insight calculate the number." The number 6, in biblical symbolism, falls short of perfection. It's the number of man, 666. 666 is ultimate imperfection, a twisted parody of the divine Trinity. It symbolizes a system that pretends to be godly but is deeply corrupted. In John's time, it likely hinted at Emperor Nero, but its message still applies today. This isn't about microchips or barcode conspiracies. It's a call for discernment, to see past appearances, to recognize systems, ideologies, and spiritual influences that pull us away from the truth. Revelation challenges us to think deeply and spiritually. And what happens next? That fake system, that Babylon, is about to fall. The fall of Babylon and the triumph of good over evil. Babylon in Revelation isn't just a historical city. It's a symbol of a corrupt world system, one that seduces with power, wealth, and pleasure, but is built on deception and rebellion against God. John sees its fall, and it's sudden and total. Fallen is Babylon the Great. What looked unstoppable collapses in an instant. It's the crumbling of everything built without God. Those who profited from Babylon's power weep over its fall. But heaven rejoices. This is more than justice. It's divine vindication. It's the moment where evil is finally held accountable. For everyone who's ever felt crushed by injustice, Revelation says, evil doesn't get the last word. The Lamb does. This is when the tables turn. The fall of Babylon clears the way for a new beginning. A shift in the spiritual atmosphere. The bride, the church, is prepared. The armies of heaven are ready. The stage is set not for destruction, but for restoration. And what comes next is almost too beautiful to describe. The new heaven, the new earth, and the final message of hope. After all the chaos and conflict, John gives us the greatest vision of all, a new heaven and a new earth. No more tears, no more death, no more pain. God wipes every tear from every eye. The old order is gone. A new reality has come. And the New Jerusalem, a city prepared like a bride, descends from heaven, radiant and pure. This is not escape, it's fulfillment. The new creation isn't floating in the clouds. It's a restored earth, a healed cosmos. God doesn't abandon the world, He renews it. And the most powerful part? He lives among His people. No more separation, no more distance. The Creator who walked with Adam in Eden now dwells with humanity forever. This is the destiny Revelation points us to. The final message? An invitation and a promise. The Spirit and the bride say, "Come." And Jesus responds, "Yes, I am coming soon." Revelation doesn't end in fear. It ends in hope. It calls us to stay awake, stay faithful, and keep our eyes on what's truly eternal. Now that you've seen what Revelation really means, let me ask you something. What part of your life is in need of a revelation? This book wasn't written just for the end of time. It was written for the times we live in right now. Babylon, the seals, the horsemen, all of that might be happening inside your own heart, your own world. And maybe, just maybe, you're only realizing it now. But here's the good news. The Lamb has already won. And if He's already victorious, you can be too. You just have to wake up, open your eyes, and stop falling for the system that looks good on the outside but is empty on the inside. Revelation is a call to awareness, to faith, and to boldness. Now that you know the truth behind the symbols and the message, the question is, what are you going to do with it? If this video made you think, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new post. Here, we don't just talk about the end, we talk about what's beyond it. And hey, there's another video on your screen right now that takes this message even deeper. Click it and continue this journey with us. God bless you.